Give him the...
Okay, we're back on now. Video's working, I hope. Yeah, good. All right, let's go back on it for a second. Now, where I brought up a good point about Todd Aiken's stance on this rape thing and how women can magically
reject
babies that come from rape.
Well, they're not babies.
Oh well, but
Well, they're
Products
potential
of conception.
They're potential babies.
50%. They are 50% of the mechanism, or maybe
What?
that's less than that.
What are you talking about?
So you take one egg, so that's half. So that's half a baby. So technically, there's half an abortion once a month in a woman, right? Is that?
So let's for those people that don't know what the fuck we're talking about. What did Aiken say?
Amy, you want to?
Okay,
you had it available.
Let me see.
Let's get the exact quote
again.
if we can.
I
Because I paraphrased him a few minutes ago.
had it up on my screen a minute ago. Hold on.
It's going to be dead silent
Let's see.
until we can find this.
No.
Just paraphrase.
Right.
We don't need a direct quote. Well, as you understand it, Amy, what did he say?
I mean, he basically said that that he had heard from a physician that
Doctors told
that
him.
women's bodies had the ability to shut that whole thing down should they conceive via rape, and that's absolutely
Forcible rape.
inane.
He was
right, yeah.
He was clear.
Legitimate rape.
But we
That's right.
we perceive this to be a reference to a bill that he co-sponsored with Ryan,
Paul Ryan,
our
vice
presidential candidate Paul Ryan. That's called forcible rape. As a distinction from what other kind of rape? Isn't all rape forcible by definition?
It's my understanding of it.
I think they're just looking at it from a different view.
I mean, there's statutory rape.
Yeah.
Well,
And then there's forcible rape.
It goes
Statutory
back
rape
to what
is
we were
still
talking about a minute
forcible,
ago.
isn't it?
And it goes back to all of the things that have been going on for the past. Where it's the woman's fault. It's always the woman's fault. Her skirt is too short.
Why don't you like rape?
She shouldn't be.
Let's get it out
Let's
there.
do it. Why are women so opposed to rape?
This is something I don't know about you guys, but I've always wondered this. Why don't you like it?
I don't think I ever made that statement.
Well, okay. I'm not asking. Okay, why do
Not why do you like rape?
I don't. Maybe. I don't want to get you to speak for all women, but why do you?
Why do I think
some women
don't like rape?
rape?
It's a violation. I mean, I think that's a pretty self-explanatory.
Apparently not.
It's probably pretty intrusive.
Yeah, it's pretty intrusive. It's
There's,
it's a part of another person's body being forced into a part of your body that you didn't consent or give permission for. That's.
I guess so, but it's it just seems like come on, he's just trying to get him some whatever.
Apparently, he can't just go to a bar and pick someone up.
I mean, how else are Republicans going to get laid? I mean, this is really probably.
I think that's probably the crux of it is that they don't want to have to quit raping people.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, if you.
But I think Elroy had a good point, though. This comes up in the discussion that it's an abortion discussion. Is what? Shut up.
It really
we
is.
can't hear you.
I know it's an abortion discussion. Is what it is, and it's a means of people who are anti-abortion to kind of frame this as a means of women who say because the biggest defense to anti-abortion people generally, the one you hear the most is, what if a woman gets raped? Because that's the one, and even several staunch anti-abortion people will say, I want to ban all abortions except for those in the case of rape. Some people don't even want to go that far.
Right.
Some people don't even want to ban it in the cases of rape. And I think Aiken's comment kind of leans toward that end, which is, well, even we're going to even have to give birth to rape babies here, people, because Paul Ryan is one of those people.
Paul Ryan and Todd Atkins both agree that even rape shouldn't be any kind of rape.
Any kind of abortion at all shouldn't be allowed.
Well, they tried to say that it's such a small number.
Well, they reframe it and they make it about the fetus, embryo, whatever stage we're talking about. They make it about the potential for life there, that potential person. They make that the victim in the situation, and that's not the truth. The truth is that the woman is the victim, and that's what it comes down to, is that she's the one who needs protecting, and she's the one who needs options.
But what you seem to be forgetting is that Republicans don't give a shit about people who actually live.
Right. That's
They
what we're
don't
talking
care
about.
about. Yeah, they care about unborn babies, but
Sure.
once they're born, go fuck yourself.
That's
because
right.
we don't care. We're not going to feed you. We're not going to educate you, and we're not going to clothe you.
That's right.
We want you to have the baby, but we don't care about the baby once you have it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they don't care about you because you have because you can survive on your own. I guess maybe that's it. The baby can't. The unborn
Right.
baby cannot survive without your blood and your food and your air.
That's right.
So yeah, it's just ridiculous. I can't. It makes my blood boil just thinking about them. This whole
But you when you get into, I mean, what you're essentially saying is, you're taking this abortion issue and pushing it so far over the line that you're now defending rapists.
That's right.
And at what point do you draw back and go, "Whoa, I can't go there"?
Well, at what point they want to say that women are pregnant before they're pregnant now. So that means that
Arizona, I
sperm,
think, did
sperm
something like
is,
this.
is also now. And I understand that Republicans don't masturbate. I get that. But what about castration, or what about is the state guilty of millions and millions of abortions by forcibly what about the potential humans there whenever they forcibly castrate a rapist or a sex offender? What about those babies, those unborn babies, those unconceived babies that they're killing? They don't care about what it is that they're really saying whenever they do this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's even. Have you guys even seen? I mean, I'm sure you're aware of this. I mean, there's like 36 states where, a child that results from rape, the rapist actually has rights to
parental rights. Yeah.
all the parental rights that the mother has. I mean, it's.
How does that even work?
In states where they can prevent the rapist can prevent you from even getting an abortion.
That's right.
How does that even work? I mean, people sat in a room and said, "I vote for that. I want that."
I don't think they consider it. I don't think they. It's like when they tried to ban sodomy. You had a bunch of Republicans.
Oh, blowjobs or sodomy?
Yeah, they had a bunch of guys standing in the room saying, "Let's get rid of sodomy. This is against God, and we need to get rid of it." But blowjobs too? Oh, fuck. No, let's back off the anti-sodomy laws.
Yeah.
We're not. We didn't
When it
know
hits
that.
close to home, you can't know.
Y'all need to talk into your mics. Apparently, we're not hearing much of y'all.
Oh,
Out there.
two of us.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Boys and girls.
We heard that.
talking about rape.
we're here talking about rape. Just chatting about some rape
I think there were
on a Sunday afternoon.
there were a couple of the people. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You were gonna say something.
Oh, I was just gonna tell a joke. That's all.
Oh.
Well, tell us a joke.
Well, my husband dusted out one of his favorite jokes about rape as a result of all this.
Oh, let's hear that.
It goes
There's
like
nothing funnier than rape.
Rape jokes are the best.
he says, "So you want to play that rape game?" And of course, I say no, and he's like, "That's the spirit."
I see what you did there.
Oh, I get it.
We got the drums there. If we can just hook those up and get the cymbal crash.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Maybe the Republicans are just confused about what rape actually means. Maybe they just think it means sex.
Well, they're not very good at vocabulary in general.
Yeah.
So
I
Or
agree.
biology.
Really be
Or
what's going
biology.
on.
Or biology.
or biology, or history, science,
Physics.
mathematics.
There's
Yeah.
no gay gene, Walter or Roche. I argue with this guy. His only defense of homosexuality not being natural is the gay gene has not been found.
Well, there may not be a gay gene. There may be a cluster of genes that dictate how your brain gets wired up that makes you more susceptible or
More prone to that,
Prone to appreciate the male aesthetic rather than the female aesthetic. It's that
Yep.
seems to make perfect sense to me. You're not going to find a gene that turns everybody gay. So.
And there's a study that says that 70% of twins who are homosexual are more likely to be homosexual, both siblings. So there is a group of genes that do govern homosexuality.
It would appear so. I think there is. But
Feminized wombs are an interesting, where if a girl is born, it feminizes the womb, so that if a boy is born
that's
after,
the other way. It's actually subsequent
males, right?
Oh, okay. So more than one
Yeah.
male. The more males they have, the more
likely they are.
So you're probably chances are your little brother is gay, and you just don't
Depends
know
on
it.
how many
Well,
brothers you have. You've only
look
got
at how
one brother.
masculine your brother is compared to you.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
He's a
Prime example.
A strapping lad.
Right here.
You're a little bitch.
Yeah, little fairy. Can we use that term? Is that politically correct?
Nope.
Yeah, that's really, really sexist.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Sorry to all my gay friends
Well,
out
I
there.
noticed that a few people came along after that. I think Huckabee was one of them. After
Lord.
Anakin's
Evangelicals
comments.
rallied around him too.
Yeah, that
Like
said,
Huckabee.
well, there's been plenty of good people born out of rape.
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
He made a lot of great
You know
movies.
what? There may be.
That's not even the point.
That's not a point. There may be nice people who were born as a result of rape. That doesn't make rape okay.
Well, you
Ever.
would think of all the shitty people who were.
Did you hear that one?
All the shitty people who were born of, just consensual sex.
That's true.
They would be pro-choice. I mean, if that's their stance,
So consensual
I'm
sex
like,
is off the table.
Now it's only rape. Amy, we didn't think that we were going to come here and actually advocate for rape.
Well, I mean, there's some really decent people that are
We're
born of
from
rape,
rape,
so
we have to.
We
you
have
have
to
to
consider
consider
that.
it.
Sure.
And I know a couple of assholes who were born out of consensual sex. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
It's only going to be rape from here on out. Rape produces only good people.
Yeah, they're just redefining sex, aren't they? I mean, it's all rape.
Well, I don't know if they're redefining it. Maybe that's what it's always been.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think they're saying none of it is rape.
Oh yeah. It's all rape, but rape doesn't exist. It's all just getting your jollies.
They're not a big. I know the GOP is not a big believer in the existence of anything but God, but
Science.
Right.
But global warming doesn't exist, but neither does state rape. They don't see that as a reality because.
Well, she shouldn't have been out drinking and wearing that short
That's right.
skirt.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and why wouldn't she want to fuck the captain of the football team or the quarterback? I mean,
Right.
he obviously was into
Well,
her. She was
it's-
lucky to have him. Born.
It's
Oh yeah,
it's
especially
biblically based. I mean, that's what it goes back to.
Well, sure.
Women had to
the-
marry their rapist.
Yeah.
it
Well,
was-
if she was already
that's what
married,
it's-
if she was already married, and she got raped, she could be killed too
right.
because she was committing adultery. If it happened in town.
If it happened in outside
In the desert,
in the rural areas,
she'd live. She'd live. Yeah.
and he would die.
He would die.
but only if she was married.
Only if she was married.
If she's not married, he doesn't die.
Yeah, he owes some money to her dad, and then they can get married. That's it. He pays her dad
But
off, and they get
condition.
married.
There's one
it's-
condition that's not covered in the Bible. It's if she's a virgin outside of the city, right?
I think it's if she's a virgin. Period.
No, because it says if she's in the city and she's a virgin, she's not betrothed, then he has to pay 50 shekels to the father and marry
Okay,
her.
so if it's outside
if
the
it's
city-
outside, I think it's just golden.
So wait. If it's outside the city, nobody ever finds out about it. She could say I was raped, and
But they
nobody-
don't
believe that.
they don't
So what
listen to her
happens is
anyway.
she goes off to
Yeah.
get married.
You-
Her husband finds out she's a virgin.
Then she's
dead.
So you
Then
guys
she's
see
dead.
how it's so easy for Todd Aiken to be confused
Yeah.
on it? I mean, it's
I can see why it's so easy for Todd Aiken to be confused about a lot of things.
we probably
That's
need
true.
to get Jesus to come back here and kind of clear it up for us because I mean it is kind of
Yeah, because he never discussed rape.
no
I don't think he ever discussed that.
it might have been settled. I mean they may have already understood at that time that it's just kind of cool to rape people.
Yeah.
I mean God pretty much
Ordained it. Said it's all right. No big deal.
They'll live. Yeah, they'll be fine.
So I got the original quote from Todd Atkins if you want me to
Oh,
You gotta step up to him.
Step up to the mic.
You want to hand it to one of us?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Read the original quote
All right.
from
What
Todd.
he
Todd
actually
Aiken.
said was, "It seems to me, from what I understand from doctors, that's really rare. If it's legitimate rape, the female body has ways to shut that whole thing down. But let's assume that maybe that didn't work or something. I think there should be some punishment, and the punishment ought to be of the rapist and not attacking the child."
So what he's
Yeah.
saying there, ultimately, his entire in context thing was, don't have an abortion.
Well, he never even addresses who
No.
should be punished.
And
I mean, is it?
he just says the punishment should go to the rapist and not the child. But
He's
the poor
like-
woman who's pregnant now.
He's just like, yeah. We should probably punish somebody, but let's focus on the fact that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And with the same breath, I'm sure he would say that she needed to go get a job to help
Probably.
pay for that baby's
Yeah.
existence.
Because we're not going to let her get on welfare.
Well,
No, why would we do that? Why am I paying my tax money to pay for all these people to live on food stamps? And I mean, this is what I run into so many times here.
Freeloaders.
Yeah, freeloaders and mooches and things like that. And then you're gonna, with the same breath, tell women if they get raped, you can't do anything. You're just gonna have the baby and it's gonna be fine.
What they would say is you should get a charity.
Oh yeah, you should get a charity. You should get a charity to do that for you. But
Charities
because
are very
is-
successful and
right?
helping
and helping
people.
everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Charities
Yeah.
are lucky that there's welfare, because if there wasn't, then charities would be broke everywhere.
Wow. Regardless.
So there's this study that came out of the University of South Carolina Department of Gynecology. 32,000 pregnancies annually result from rape,
wow.
and about 5% of rape victims are impregnated.
Wow.
Yeah.
So to say
Apparently, he didn't get that memo.
to say it's rare.
What
30
university did they come out of?
South Carolina.
Wasn't Liberty University, so it doesn't matter.
They only read one
Yeah.
paper a year.
So yeah, the 32,000. I guess it's not the most stunning number, but it's pretty significant.
That's a lot of freaking pregnancies.
That is a lot of freaking. That is a lot of freaking pregnancies.
32,000.
Audio, video.
Everything.
Video.
Oh, video? We're here.
Are we still here?
We're still here.
Okay.
It's
so
a radio show now.
You can't see us, but
Great.
we'll be here.
We can see you. Yes. we are in your bedrooms and living rooms.
Everybody's gonna eat.
Didn't see it. Well, they wouldn't know unless you
We can keep talking if
Yeah.
you want to keep talking.
All right.
Well, I think what we've established in talking about this is that this guy is severely mental for having made the comment in the first place, and now that there's this hailstorm of horrible things that Republicans are saying, that no one in their right mind could possibly
Right.
vote for Mitt Romney or any Republican, I would think, if they're all going to keep this type of rhetoric going. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe I'm crazy.
Romney automatically tried to distance himself. That's one thing, and I can fairly say this: if somebody within a party does something, you can have some opportunity to make that an isolated incident. I don't personally think it is an isolated incident in the party,
No, it's not.
but you can't automatically say. I think it would be unfair to automatically say that Mitt Romney has that belief as well.
Mm-hmm.
He might, but I think it's unfair
Well,
to
he
say
beats
that.
up homosexuals, so.
Yeah,
And he straps dogs to the roofs of
right.
cars.
There's plenty of good reasons not to vote for Mitt Romney. Don't get me
Well,
wrong.
there's plenty of reasons to suspect that he's, that he lacks the empathy that would be necessary for someone to give a shit about rape too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't know for a fact, but I mean, he doesn't care about animals apparently, and he doesn't care about, gay kids. So, it would only stand to reason, or at least, it wouldn't surprise me if he.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's but again, he tried to distance himself. He condemned Aiken for his statements. I think.
What did he say though?
I'm not exactly sure. I think they asked the guy to drop out of the race.
That's because.
Yeah.
But
But
what's the reason for that?
I'm sure
it's a
I'm sure
political
Mitt,
reason. I'm sure.
Mitt Romney hasn't said much on this.
It's not because he disagrees.
It's
because-
because they think that they're going to lose that Senate
That's
seat.
right.
Right.
That's-
Which they probably
Which they
are. Even if they
it looks like
replace
they
the
it
guy.
looks like they will.
Well, Mitt Romney hasn't actually said much, but Paul Ryan has. And it's funny that Paul Ryan has said something about it since they co-authored the bill. Paul Ryan is the one that asked him to drop out of the race. And what's funny about that is that Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan actually disagree on a whole rape issue. Mitt Romney says that he believes that there should be abortion exceptions with rape, incest, and what was it? Rape, incest, and
Save the mother's life.
yeah, saving the mother's life. And the funny thing about that is that Paul Ryan disagrees with that. But Paul Ryan says that he's okay with that since it's going in the right direction. He believes that Mitt Romney isn't correct, but they're going in the right direction. That's what he cares about.
Well, there's the whole thing of, what state is this going on in where they're talking about, gestational age?
No,
you
I
guys know
think
what I'm
it's
talking about?
pretty much every state.
Well,
Alabama's
they're talking
got
about
one.
the first 2 weeks before the egg is
That's
actually
Arizona.
Arizona,
fertilized.
That's
yeah.
Arizona.
You're pregnant before you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically, that's how pregnancy is counted in weeks. It's counted from the first day of a woman's last period.
Yeah,
So I mean, but I'm
but
not,
because they can't
I know.
figure that out. They can't
Right.
pinpoint when the egg gets fertilized. Not because that's
No.
All right.
That's just how. I mean, that's standard. That's like industry wide. I'm not saying that a woman's pregnant. I'm just saying that's how it's counted. But it scares me because that's. I mean, it ties in with the whole birth control thing. You know what I mean? Because if you're pregnant before you actually
are pregnant.
then abortion. I mean, I understand. That it's already being talked about that way, but I mean, that's going to be
Birth control
that's
is
the direction that we're headed.
Yeah, exactly.
And
there's plenty of Catholics out there that would agree that any
yeah,
form of birth control
absolutely.
is abortion.
But I mean, that's the direction the whole Republican Party is headed.
Yes.
Every sperm is sacred.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just dangerous. It's dangerous territory to get into.
So that makes condoms a form of abortion, because
makes wearing a condom murder.
yeah, because you're stopping a process that could result in the next Beethoven, right?
Right.
Well, let's get on to this whole. Okay, if you're plenty of people who claim to be Christians, religious, etc., are anti-abortion.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know why. Where does your Bible command this?
It's because you don't know when God actually puts
You have
the
to talk
soul-
into a mic.
It's because you don't know when God actually puts the soul in the human life.
But let's stop right there. Where is it in the Bible that abortion is wrong?
There are some references to, and I would have to look it up. It talks about like cutting open the stomach of pregnant women.
Yeah, God
is that?
commands people to do
Right,
that
of
on
course.
regular
Yeah,
occasions.
Of course.
So
I'm just saying. I'm saying that's where they're getting it from.
Right.
Yeah, but it was under God's command to do it, not that
Right.
God said don't do that. He
No,
said,
God said,
"Hey,
"Hey, go do
if you
that."
don't have you got some time, could you please go and completely destroy this city?" And
While you're at it.
should we save the women and the children? No, kill them. What about the pregnant women? Oh, yeah, get those girls and cut them open and take the baby out and kill that.
Right.
I mean, just make sure that it's dead. I mean, this is not a God that cares
But
too
again,
much about
take
abortion.
the virgins. You keep them for yourself.
Yeah,
do
that's
what you
the
want.
spoils of war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's not
So
rape
you take
either.
the 8-year-old girls. You do what you want with them.
Yeah, actually,
That's
the
the sound they
spoils
made.
of war, it's even worse than that because, the one story in Deuteronomy, I believe, they ransacked a village, Canaanites, killed them all.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't enough virgins, because there never are, really, enough virgins to go around. And so they said, all right, we got an idea. What we'll do is we'll go and steal some from this other village. We'll do, because we know that there's a festival going on, and the girls are going to come out and do their thing. They'll dance or whatever, and we'll just wait in this field. And when they come out of their huts or whatever to go to this village, just steal you a few, and it's okay. It's cool. It's good. So even if it's not the spoils of war, even if it's not just as a result, you've killed everybody in the village and you get to keep the virgins. If there's not enough, you can go to a neighboring town and just steal some for you.
Yeah.
But that's what. Whenever women are property, when they're chattel, that's it's you don't care about that. There's nothing in the Bible that suggests any morality as it relates to women. The way we treat them now. So if we're going to go biblical, then let's go biblical.
There's, in fact, women are to remain silent, with their heads covered.
You know what? And that's proof that there's not everything.
We're violating.
Not everything in the Bible is wrong.
Yeah.
Why does that always explode into raucous laughter whenever someone says that?
It never mentioned the kitchen though in the Bible. It just said "did not speak ever," which
or usurp the authority of men.
That's tough to do for anybody. Come on.
Especially Amy.
Larry Jones says Jeremiah 1:5 was his ammo as a Christian to prove that abortion was wrong.
Who said that?
Jeremiah 1:5. Larry Jones did.
Okay.
Well, we've lost video twice. I'm kind of scared to even do anything on here.
Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay,
what
well,
it
that
says.
doesn't say we can't kill anybody
Yeah.
in the womb.
Yeah.
It just says
Well,
I knew you.
But I knew
before
you.
I killed you.
Well, I mean,
I
if God knows you, obviously
Apologize.
you're a person.
Before you were in the womb. So before your parents even had sex, you were God knew you. That's what he's saying. That's
Right.
basically the gist of that. So it doesn't say anything to
they call that the guff?
from abortion. A
Guff?
guff?
The guff, where it's from tradition, I guess Hebrew tradition, where the souls, it's like a playpen for
The Gulf.
Oh yeah.
The Gulf?
The guff.
Guff.
G-U-F-F.
Guff?
The
Okay.
guff, yeah. And it's this place in heaven where God pins up the babies and then has a assembly line where he just sends them down to earth. Now when the guff is empty, that's the end of the world.
I can see him
because
on a
there's no more
conveyor belt
babies.
now going out.
Yeah, so once heaven's supply.
Nobody really believes this shit. Really?
Well, this is
Yes,
from tradition. I bet you a lot of people
There's
believe
like
that.
a
Here,
closet of
see.
baby
We
souls.
can't waste God's souls because we'll run out of kids eventually.
Well, the souls aren't baby souls; they're just regular souls who get put in babies.
Where did the souls come from?
What are they doing this whole time?
I mean, what they had to fire up the baby furnace or something like that and make more babies or something.
Yeah.
I mean, just get the thing started. We're running out of baby souls.
Production time is the turnaround on these babies is way too long.
Yeah.
So they made
I mean,
a bunch.
and the more they use, does the price go up? As
Oh,
the
absolutely.
Demand
Supply and demand.
increases. Yeah.
That's why
'Cause
this
there's
whole
7
abortion thing is
billion
going
people
on.
on the planet now.
Yeah.
Are they stacked in there?
I would think they would have to stack them in bunk bed
Like
style.
pallets?
How much
something?
room does the soul take?
That's a great question. 28 grams.
No, it doesn't.
So the guff.
Where's my argument? That the only study that was ever shown that the soul weighs 28 grams was bunk. So
Pseudoscience.
there's no other.
I've never even heard that was a real thing.
Yeah, there was.
Supposedly-
and it was bunk, junk science. So that's
supposedly
why.
when you
there's
die-
there's no evidence for it. That's my argument.
Yeah, no.
So
So when you die, you lose 28 grams of soul.
And even if that was true, you'd have to then say what mass is leaving the body, and you could measure
What particles-
what particles,
what is it made out
mass
of?
was
Yeah.
leaving the
So
human
you can
form.
measure the soul in physical form.
Absolutely.
you would be able to detect it.
Yes.
And then you could reverse engineer and figure out where the soul resides while you're alive, and then figure out how to cure your soul ills. Whether
Listen
they
to this
were-
discussion, Ghost Hunters.
Scientology has that covered.
Yeah, Scientology does. They
Yeah.
they do soul audits for soul thetans that are attached to the back of your neck, and they can kind of clutter up the place back there. So you have to get yourself audited, which costs
Yeah.
a lot of money.
I'm checking myself for
and then they
thetans
can
right
run
now.
machines over you and
Yeah.
actually make them come off.
Wow.
That's
There's no way people believe this. any of this, because nobody lives.
I wish
as
that
if
were
they,
so.
If they, nobody lives their life as if any of this shit is true. Nobody does.
That's true.
You know, that's an interesting point. I have an interesting point I was just thinking about. As far as what happens to babies when they die, how they all go to heaven.
They rot.
Well, according to Christian theology, what happens to babies when they die is they all go to heaven. If they all go to heaven, then aborting babies would be the moral thing to do.
That is not necessarily a Christian belief. Some sects of Christianity believe that when babies die, they go to hell because they have not yet been redeemed through Jesus.
That's why the Spaniards,
like Catholicism,
the conquistadors, that they would baptize babies and then smash their brains against a rock and kill them.
Well, that's decent of them. That's very decent.
That's the most moral thing to do if you actually believe this stuff.
Well, I know there's Mormons believe in baptism for the dead, so you can still baptize them after they die.
Well, that's a Mormon thing.
So what we should do is
Mormonism is not Christianity.
I don't know.
And I dare anyone out there watching to prove me wrong on that.
Mormonism is Christianity.
I dare anyone out there to prove.
I'm not even watching it, and I'm going to say it is.
You can't participate. You're here.
All right.
Why is Mormonism not Christianity?
Well, let's let the viewers decide why it is or isn't.
Why can't we disagree?
We have to no, you cannot. I will ban you if you disagree with me.
When I was a child in the Baptist church, they told us that Mormonism was not Christian.
Oh, absolutely. A non-denominational religion.
What else did they tell you?
Absolutely.
Lots of things.
They also told us that two people talk to a snake in a garden, and bushes that are on fire can talk.
There's this theme in Christianity that kind of goes like that. Like if you're not Baptist, you're not Christian. I mean, I've heard Catholics aren't Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses aren't Christians, Mormons aren't Christians.
That's no true
Scotsman.
Laddie.
I don't understand that.
It's because it doesn't make sense.
I completely understand it. Sectarianism, yes, I completely understand that.
Yeah. And it's just because the Bible is so open to interpretation. They all have their own little.
Because as a lot of Christians will tell you, they're much better off than the Muslims are, because the Muslims are all sectarian and trying to kill each other.
Yeah. Well, there's how many different versions of Christianity? 1,500.
Yeah.
Or some ridiculous
it goes
number.
back to.
Guess what, Christians? You're sectarian too.
It goes back to the fact that none of them actually read their Bibles.
Mm-hmm.
They go to church on Sundays and they listen to what the man behind the microphone has to say to them. And, for the most part, I know we all did something different, which is why we're here.
Yeah, we actually read the Bible and realized how much bullshit it is.
The majority of them, though, they don't know what's in the book. And so, they go there and... if their preacher says Catholics aren't Christians, well, for fuck's sake, that's got to be true.
Yeah. They are definitely. I mean, even as a non-denominational Christian, we were not told but believed that Catholics were not Christian because we recognized in them this
well, they've got extra books in their Bible. Did you know that?
Right. Like the books in between where God was supposedly silent for 400 years because he was mad at us. But they have nothing for 400 years.
You check now, no, you're what
And
I
then
choose.
nothing
You
after.
fit into my
You need to pull up the legitimate rape song.
Is this one of our ads on
You
our
light up the day, no coding from me. Hey, 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 honest that you can see.
How long is this
23% advanced accuracy.
Byron was just complaining about the commercials on there. He's like, I'm not going to subscribe to this.
Ask your healthcare professional for the new AccuCheck Nano blood glucose
He said,
meter
I'm not
today.
paying for Ustream.
Paying for this free Ustream.
Yeah.
Okay, you said it was on YouTube. What was the name of the thing?
The reason.
Legitimate rape song?
Okay, we're gonna.
The legitimate rape song. We're now going to be schooled on.
Well, you got to know how to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the best way to do that is in song.
At least it's the most rememberable. You'll
That's
remember
right.
the.
I actually have been singing the legitimate rape song.
You think your toothpaste is working? Let's find out.
This shows your plaque germ.
We had a.
Those are germs?
Yep, Germ City.
You want to see a Colgate total now? Yes.
Stop with all the commercials.
A lot less germs with Colgate.
Yeah. So I guess here's
Commercials everywhere. Nothing's free. You gotta watch your show.
How can you tell if it's legitimate rape? I'll tell you how to spot legitimate rape. You're not sure if you've got legitimate rape. Well, here's a little lesson for you. Tell me if the following things are true. I was a little drunk. Illegitimate rape. I knew the rapist well. Illegitimate rape.
I hope everybody
My
can
skirt was
hear
kind of
this.
short. Illegitimate rape. I'm married to the man. That's a husband's privilege. How can you tell if it's legitimate rape? I'll tell you how to spot legitimate rape. You're not sure if you got legitimate rape. Well, here's a little lesson for you. Tell me if the following things are true. I let him take me out. Illegitimate rape. I said I was 18. Illegitimate rape. He didn't have consent. I'm sure your eyes were saying yes. I'm pregnant from the rape. Clearly not legitimate. So now we all know what's legitimate rape. We all know who to trust to tell us what's rape. Republicans who've never experienced rape. They're the ones I want to decide.
First
that
chorus,
I should
first
keep
chorus,
living
first
on
chorus.
the
That
inside.
was lovely. Stop now.
Yeah.
So we learned some things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, she did say something that I think is interesting, and I'd like to get Amy's opinion on. She said
All
that
right.
she knows we all something like these men are the ones who are the ones defining what is legitimate rape and what isn't legitimate rape. Is a woman more appropriate to define what is legitimate and what
I
isn't
think
legitimate?
that because it happens statistically more often to women, probably so.
Why is that? Why is a woman necessarily better at defining what rape is than a man? Regardless of who
Why
it
is a
happens
woman
to.
Better at defining what.
Well, okay, would someone who has a heart attack, are they better at defining what a heart attack is or a doctor?
Well,
It happens to that
probably
person.
a doctor.
Okay, probably a doctor.
You know,
So
but
why is a gender necessarily make you more relevant in the discussion? You know, why is your body parts? I know certainly you're more concerned. I can understand how you'd be more concerned about what it is, but it doesn't necessarily make you more. Doesn't mean that you're more appropriate to talk about it than somebody who is of another gender, a man, for example.
I don't think that it's. Okay. I've reassessed. I don't think that I'm necessarily more qualified to talk about what is and what isn't, but I think that my opinions are more relevant because of the fact that it happens to women more often than it does to men. I'm more often. I'm statistically.
That's really that's a personal experience argument. That's an argument that we reject when it comes to Christianity. We reject because I felt this. I can offer this as evidence to you. Well, no, you can't because that's just your personal experience. It doesn't necessarily apply to me.
Maybe it has to do with the fact that the majority of the people that we're here and talk about it are men. Maybe that's probably why I'm a little more on edge about it. You know, because. You know,
thread is
when a
looming.
woman stands up and says vagina and she gets dismissed from the
Wait, hold on a
floor,
second. We don't
you
have
know?
to cuss here. You don't. I mean, we don't have to bring up that language. Why do you have to
Dirty
do that?
word.
Why do you women feel like you need to make those words?
I think the disparity comes from the fact that I don't think it's necessarily that it's men talking about it. I think it's the fact that people who really don't seem to give a shit about it are trying to legislate.
But what's said though is that it's men talking
no,
about
it-
it. That's the issue. It's not. It should
Yeah,
be,
I don't think it's
It is because when a woman stands up and tries to talk about it and she talks about parts of her anatomy that are actually involved in a rape, she gets silenced and she gets dismissed. You know, so yeah, it is that, you know, men are silencing women. I mean, you know,
that's why I say I think
Some
it goes. I
men
think it
are,
goes
though.
back to
yeah, I don't mean you guys aren't. I mean,
But
I
it's
could
not-
say
but that's
vagina
what-
all day long. You'd
yeah.
be cool with it.
Could you please stop? But I mean, but then what needs to stop happening though is that statement that you know that there, we can't have whenever Sandra Fluke, the big issue with her, you know that people were saying their issue was that look at all of these men that are up there talking about this, and they don't have a woman up there talking about this. Well, that's really not the issue because if they had 7 men up there that were educated and understood and really knew what they were talking about, not a bunch of religious nuts, but they had 7 educated people who were, you know, PhDs in biology or whatever and specialized in female anatomy or whatever. that would be a legitimate panel to discuss it. The fact that they're all men is just irrelevant to me. Because if you had a woman up there it sounded to me like if you had a woman up there that was an attorney, she's more qualified to talk about female anatomy than a doctor. That seems wacky to me. Now, the real issue is that the guys that they had are scumbags. So they were
And like I
assholes.
said, don't give a shit.
That seems to be the real issue.
Yeah,
And that's what needs to happen. That's where the conversation needs to go. The problem is that this tit for tat. I'm against sexism so bad. I'm gonna make this about gender. That the only person who can legitimately talk about female issues are females. I just don't see that as.
Well, I mean, I think you make a good point, that if they weren't all just a bunch of assholes, you know, I mean, most of the women who are in office who want to talk about this stuff are liberals, I mean, we don't hear a lot from, the Republican women about it.
In fact, they rally behind their
yeah.
Yeah, but they let their men
Absolutely.
talk for them,
making decisions is hard for some women. Speaking their mind is tough.
I think it's more of a trust issue because I think more often than not, men can be more biased when it comes to that. If you look at the guys that right now are actually making the laws based on rape, you can say they are biased. Like Todd Atkins, for instance, he is biased. So,
but that's not. You're saying that men are biased by the fact that they have dicks.
The men we have right now making the laws in the reality that we're now living in are biased. So it's not that men are not capable of doing this. It's that the ones we have are not capable of doing it.
Right.
I think
and that's
And, I mean, so it's not that men can't do it. They can. It's just they're biased right now. The ones we have.
But that's not what people are saying. What they say is that the issue. Well, no, I take what people say very seriously, because that's what frames our discussion is how people talk about it. And if they're saying that their issue with this, if they keep it on we don't want men talking about women's issues, you're making it a sexist issue.
Yeah.
Well, she is, but I think what it is that she just doesn't trust.
Who's she?
Whoever you said she was. You said she.
I think he's talking about me.
No,
he's not talking about her
I didn't
either.
say she.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about you. You mentioned
This argument comes up occasionally.
No, she didn't say that. She didn't say that.
But this argument comes up
all the time.
Yeah.
It's
I think
I thought you were talking about specific.
I think to be more correct about it, what you don't want to say is men shouldn't be having this discussion. The correct thing is misogynists shouldn't be.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we tend to see men equals
misogyny.
That's not
the
true.
incorrect. That's an incorrect way to go
So
about
sexist.
that. Yeah. Precisely.
That is very sexist.
No,
that
men
what you're
aren't
saying, Troy?
sexist. Men are sexy.
Oh, see, and
Some men are.
and now see, it is born. You're
Yeah.
born with it,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was born this way.
Oh God.
Someone cute Lady
He's
Gaga.
converted now. He's a Christian.
Yeah. I certainly believe in Satan now. All right. Well, what else we got to go? Did we cover like an hour with this yet? Or
We're at just under an hour. I mean,
Just
we got
under
about
an hour?
another 12 to 15 minutes.
we
Till we're an hour.
can toss another topic out there if you want to. Let's go with our crazy judge friend in Lubbock. I kind of touched on earlier.
Yeah, which is kind of it's a Republican judge, right?
No.
Ah,
No.
no. And
They don't. They're not
don't
crazy.
don't you
They're
dare
not
say
crazy.
Tea Party.
Oh, no.
Don't
So-
you dare.
Them
Tell
fighting words.
us about the story again.
Well, this guy basically told. Well, okay. Let me start from the beginning. He's trying to pass a 1.7% tax increase, I think, in his county.
The judges?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to get that passed. And boiled down to sometime in a discussion with a reporter that this county has to be ready because if Obama gets reelected, they're going to have to stand up to UN troops who are going to be coming all through Lubbock County,
Yeah.
taking guns away from people.
That won't happen.
The UN troops for what reason? Why are these UN troops
Well,
coming
this ties back to, I'm sure,
Because there will be resistance. I mean,
this
people
ties
Well, no.
back to this is the idea. You've heard the discussions. The crazy
Well,
conspiracy rhetoric is that this bill, this non-binding resolution, which actually did exist in the UN, but not to the parameters that they're discussing, it was an international arms trade agreement, which basically says if the U.S. is going to trade weapons with Norway, we're going to have some regulation.
And that applies to Bubba buying an AK how?
Absolutely does not reply.
Well, sure it does because the UN troops are coming.
Well, it involves both the UN and Obama, if it even involves Obama.
Everything involves Obama.
So you know it's going to be
the drought.
It's
hurricanes.
It's a socialist plot to take over and take away your guns, naturally.
And so they're going to use the UN as foot soldiers because there will be resistance. I mean, the NRA
right, because the UN has an army where.
Well, and the
They have
UN,
blue helmets, though.
the UN
They run in with blue
military
helmets
force, this quasi-military force the UN has, is made up of soldiers from which country?
Primarily?
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly American.
Yeah.
So the UN troops would be American
The UN troops would be.
There's some Israeli soldiers in there.
They wanted to send troops to take away your guns, which is by no means going to happen at all.
For two reasons. One, the treaty doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Two, because the Supreme Court already ruled that international treaties do not supersede the U.S. Constitution.
Which is why Sharia law.
And
So-
three, no one's proposing to take away your damn guns. No one has proposed that.
Ever.
No one, excuse me, no one who's elected in office right now has proposed that.
And forward, American troops never would do that.
They
Yeah.
never do what?
If the American troops were given an order to go into town and take away people's guns, they would not do it. Because first, the Geneva Convention says you don't have to follow unlawful orders. And second, because that's not the kind of people they are.
And third, because that's a really stupid tactical order.
Yeah.
Go to these people's houses who have guns and take their guns away from them. Good luck.
Yeah, let us know how that goes.
I mean, what kind of a dumbass would give that order?
Sir, we're here to collect your
And
guns.
for what
You put them in this
purpose?
bag.
For what purpose?
They're
don't
trying
know.
to disarm
I don't know.
America so they can take us over. They're trying to get in our homes and
Well,
in our
no,
bedrooms.
what this boils down to, and what it's
ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Bubba.
Bubba. My name's Bubba.
I'm from Vider.
I think
Hey,
what it
listen.
comes down to, is this idea is spawned from the idea that Obama is the Antichrist, and those who believe that the Antichrist exists.
Wait a
believes that
second. The Antichrist is going to be black too.
Well,
He's
sure.
got everything going against him.
I know. But he should be
That's
easy
nuts.
to spot.
Black is not bad.
If
Yeah.
you
You're
have
from
to,
certain
okay,
parts of the world,
okay.
it is.
Oh, well, you have
have
to
to
get
put
into the
yourself in the
mindset
mindset
of
of a white Christian.
Exactly. Then the
Then
worst
you know
thing.
how this works.
The worst thing you can think of
You gotta
is
think like them too.
is a Harvard-educated, Chicago-born black man.
Actually,
That is the
He's smarter than
model.
smarter than
born
you.
in Chicago, apparently. From what I hear, he was born.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Now, so yeah, in
So now
Kenya.
he's Kenyan.
Kenya.
And he's
Kenya.
a secret Muslim
Yeah.
now too. So now we stacked that on top
Right.
of here. Now he might be
If
the
we
Antichrist.
if we could make him a gay atheist at the same time, then that would be the perfect storm
A
of.
gay theist?
determined now, according to biblical prophecy, and we've looked at the charts, and I think biblical prophecy has come true on this one. Obama probably is the Antichrist. From what we determined.
There is a violation there though because he wasn't born from the Middle East. There's actually
Africa close enough, you know.
well,
It's not. It's it. Hey,
That's why
it's,
he's
it's
lying on his-
it's the horn.
He was
lying
born-
on his birth certificate. He doesn't want you to know he's the
he was
Antichrist.
he was born east of our borders. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what the Bible's referring to because it was clearly written in America.
Well,
Yeah, it
if
was
you're
written
Mormon,
for Americans.
For
you're a
Americans.
Mormon, then it
for
was.
Americans.
Somewhere over there,
But
he
now,
will be
but now
born.
he's going to use the UN to establish a new world order. And so, what's the biggest threat to the new world order?
Guns.
But the redneck Tea Partiers with their guns,
All 1,100.
because
of
an
them.
international one world government is scared shitless of a guy in a trailer park with a gun.
well, it's not just him. It's him and
I
his
am.
buddies. They're organized and they're ready and they're you know.
They're organized.
I'm
Organized.
They have forms to fill out.
We've got
a lot of paperwork.
They're going to go up against, one of the greatest tactical forces in the world, the United States military, and they are trained for squirrel hunting.
Yeah.
Well, wait a second. Hold on.
You know, I'm talking
what
about.
do you think goes into defending the meth lab? Really? Seriously.
Well, you gotta
They're
get a
under
lot of-
constant attack. They're like little Israel over there.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. But that's more covert operation than it is anything else than just outright flat assault. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, but I still wouldn't say they're organized. I haven't
I'm
seen.
being sarcastic. I'm saying from their perspective.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, they're ready.
Organized. They're ready.
Yeah.
They're ready for this fight. I mean, we're going to secede from the Union.
Yes.
We're going to.
What
it's going to be a
happens-
militia.
So,
we're gonna,
They've been training.
yeah,
Vic,
they're
Vicky,
training.
Vicky
They're-
from Viter, what happens when we secede? What happens to the state of Texas after we secede? Because we want it so bad.
Well, you
What
know, they're
happens?
coming for our guns, so we're going to defend our.
So we get to
our
keep our
homes
guns.
and yeah,
What-
we get
so
to
if
keep
we're
our guns
successful in seceding from the Union, we get to keep our guns.
That's right.
Okay, what else do we
And
get?
our God.
We get to keep our God. Okay, what else do we get?
We get to live happily ever after.
I'm asking Vicky from Viter. This is not you're not in Viter.
You're plainly not from Viter.
Bad place to go.
We don't really like your kind over there.
So
Atheist,
Sure, that's what it was.
so you get to keep your God and your guns. What
That's
else? I mean, you get
Our freedom,
your
our
freedom.
Constitution.
Whoa! No, you don't get to keep the Constitution.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Sure we do.
yeah,
You have to write your own now.
Stop.
You get the Texas one.
Which is, by the way, one of the most entertaining documents you'll ever read in your life.
What about
I think it's a
the?
few thousand pages now. Good luck.
2,000 pages?
Yeah, a few thousand pages, I'm
thousand.
sure.
What,
Oh, so
what
it's like
about
the bill?
oil? Do you get to keep the oil?
Ooh.
Well,
Gonna need that to
Because
drive
isn't
your
that
trucks.
the reason why you want to secede? You're going to keep your oil, right?
it's mostly from here.
Yeah. We get our oil from they drilling down the road. I seen the thing. It's sucking something out of there.
That's sewage. But the offshore oil you don't get to keep. Surely, that's U.S. waters.
Yeah. I didn't really think about that.
Oh wait, yeah. Well, he brings up a good point. So what if would you fight for it?
Send your jets.
You're talking to me like I really know this argument. I really know this argument.
We're gonna use surface-to-air missiles on our oil rigs to keep them U.S. jets.
Just to clarify, Amy does not really believe in seceding.
She's like, wait, I can't argue this.
I don't fucking know why.
I'm having a hard time dealing with this one. That's a complicated argument. Takes a lot.
Pretty easy.
Well, it is very easy.
Let me lay it out for me, Bubba.
Go ahead.
Bubba.
Go ahead.
This is Bubba from Viter. It's Vicky's brother slash
lover.
lover. But this is how it goes. Texas secedes from the Union. Mexico invades. We build a wall to prevent Texans from coming into the Union.
And then keeping the ones that already invaded to get back out. Right, so you just trap them in.
No, we just build a wall. We let the Mexicans come over, but the Texans are banned from.
Oh, you're gonna build a perimeter around the northern part of Texas.
Yes, the northern part of Texas.
Ooh, that's gonna be expensive.
It's okay. We'll be able to do it since we won't have the southern state of Texas stealing all of our tax money. It won't be. See, they actually take more federal money than they put back into the system, so it'll be easy. And with all of the, without having to deal with all the border security that we have to deal with for Mexico, we just let the Mexicans come in and let them man the
We
wall.
still have to have border security for the Texans, though.
Well, but we let the Mexicans man the wall.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. I like that.
We give them a job.
Okay.
Creating jobs.
Creating jobs.
I like it already.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I've heard that we have if you took Texas and made it an independent nation, it would have the 12th highest GDP in the world. Well, if you made Texas an independent nation, that GDP wouldn't be there anymore.
Because they have to defend themselves.
Yeah.
They have to get their own military.
Yeah. They have to get trading agreements. Yeah. It would not
And
be.
considering they've pissed off every country but Israel.
Yeah. And their infrastructure is built by whom?
No one, the federal government.
Yeah, which they wouldn't have
They
that
wouldn't
anymore.
have
And they
so
would be
your infrastructure,
no,
your GDP, which relies way heavier on your infrastructure than you think.
Which is why they take
Highways.
so much money from the federal
Yeah.
government
Railways.
without putting it back in. Is that
Right.
They get all that free money. That's why
Right.
their GDP would be high.
Their GDP would be nothing.
Right.
And you have a hostile nation, nearly 360 degrees
We
around
have
you.
hostile nations everywhere. Let's pretend for a fact. They always pretend that the United States would do nothing about it if they were to secede. How do you know that? The United States could invade you. As a matter of fact, the United States could easily invade you because the largest military army base
Is within your borders.
within your borders. So they're already
Oh, yeah.
inside
Yeah.
you. They have the best
They are-
tactical advantage ever.
This is forcible country takeover, so it's not legitimate.
No, that would be
Texas-
No, that would be legitimate.
It would be
So
like Texas comes up and says, "We've seceded." Oh, they
No,
want to
you
take us
haven't.
back over again. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Sorry, the guy in the tank right there told me we hadn't seceded.
Correction.
awesome.
All right, well, should we wrap this up?
Yes.
I think we should.
Should we?
Yeah. Let's do it over for
It,
another week.
it looks like, I don't know if this is from our chat room or
let's do some chat room stuff. if we need
from,
to.
I don't know, see what you can ascertain from that. We do have a chat room on our Ustream, so for those of y'all,
Texas Air National Guard.
for those of